cause them to take a part to creating a change in themselves individually, as well as commit to raising a wholesome 21st century child. And as we do this collectively, we are building the kind of society that we want to see. Our mission with the Parent Summit Africa is to create a platform that equips parents with the skills, strategies, and resources for self-transformation and raising wholesome children. Our vision is to effect social and societal change through parenting education, especially to change the narrative of Africa and the African child. Hi, my name is Vivian Okoye. I'm the convener of Parent Summit Africa. I'm a certified child psychologist, a parent coach, and a trained doctor of optometry. Parent Summit Africa is powered by our online parenting school, the Vivian Okoye Parenting Academy. We started Parent Summit Africa in 2017 to gather parents from all over the nation and beyond to start up relevant conversations around raising a wholesome 21st century child, as well as thinking about our contribution to sustainable development and nation building. We do this because we believe that at this point, our plan as a nation for sustainable development should shift its focus from just systems, institutions, and policies to actually creating a plan and strategy for a change in the attitude and mindset of its people. Because the people drive these institutions, the systems, and the policies. So if on an individual level, we're able to get it right with our attitude and our mindsets, then we can drive the institutions and policies in the right direction. Until we are able to do this, until we're able to create change in attitude and mindset on an individual level, then we will not experience any tangible change.
Hi. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're joining from. Welcome. Guys, please, if you're live, kindly share this so that other people will join. Welcome. Another weekend. If you were here last week, you can attest to the fact that it has been a ride. It has been an amazing, insightful, eye-opening. I was telling someone, I said I was planning Parent Summit. I didn't know I was planning it for myself, actually, because it has been a learning experience for me as well. So welcome once again. It's another weekend in the Parent Summit Africa 2023. And I tell you something, right? If you thought last week was amazing, then this week is about to blow your mind, because we have amazing conversations lined up. And if you have been paying attention, you'll realize that everything is feeding to each other. Like all the conversations, one conversation is leading into the other one, another conversation is leading into the other one. It has been like that, and this week is going to be even more insightful. So today we're talking about how to raise. Initially I said how to raise emotionally intelligent children, but when Coach Ade sent his video, he said something. He said how to raise emotionally responsible children, and I gave it a thought. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. It's just the word difference, but it actually makes sense, because it's not about intelligence is built over time, right? But it's about raising children who are actually emotional, teaching our children to be emotionally responsible ourselves, and then teaching our children to be responsible for their emotions as well. So that made a lot of sense for me. And yeah, so that's the conversation we're going to have this evening. And there is no other person, trust me, there is no other person I know to do justice to this conversation much more than Ade. Like, he is really, really good, and I'm super excited that he agreed to do this with us. So my name is Dr. Vivian Okoye, and I am your host. I'm the host and the convener of Parent Summit Africa. I'm a psychologist, I'm a trauma therapist. And so I was introducing myself last week, and someone said I should also mention that I'm an optometrist. I seem to skip that because I've not practiced clinically for some time now, but I'm also an optometrist. That's where the doctor came from, right? So this is me. I'm the founder of Vivian Okoye Parenting Academy and the convener of Parent Summit Africa. and I would introduce our guest and then I bring him up. And before I do that, I'll do a few housekeeping. Please, if you're watching, make sure you're paying attention, make sure you're taking notes. If you have family and friends, kindly share this broadcast to them. I shared something in the group. I say, you know how guys do their Premier League and Champions League. This is how we're supposed to stream this parent summit. Like, if you have a smart TV, you should be streaming it in your living room with your friends and having conversations around this. And you'll be amazed the kind of conversations that can come up. And it's really important that when you're learning these things, that you're learning it with your community, because it takes a village, right? And if you're learning and your community, if they're not learning, it's more like pouring sand inside your garri, because tomorrow your child will go and mix with their own children, or you're having a different conversation with your children or teaching different values to your children, and they're not on the same page with you. So it's important that we're all learning together, we're carrying everybody along, so that as we're building our children, we're doing it. And this is how we see the true change that we want to see in our society. So Ade Jones is a full-time house husband and stay-at-home dad, which is a very courageous thing to do, especially in the society that we find ourselves in. So anybody that is able to do that, you should know that that person has really built resilience and has a mind of their own, right? He is a parenting coach and a therapist. He's a practitioner of neuro-linguistics programming, a TEDx speaker, writer, and author of 13 books, including Trauma-Informed Parenting, Frustration-Free Parenting, Contemporary Parenting, and How to Raise an Emotionally Responsible Child. He is the team lead of Parenting Academy, a virtual platform that offers therapeutic intervention to parents of children exhibiting troubled behavior. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women, with a resounding round of applause, let's welcome the amazing Coach Adejo.
Let the bell ring. Let the bell ring. Thank you so much, Dr.
Super
V.
excited to have you. So welcome, guys. Please, he needs to see that you're ready for him. Say welcome. Say something nice to him. As he comes on stage, right? So say you're welcome. So I'll be leaving you.
Thank you so much.
This is your this is your stage. And please, if you're here live, let us know where you're joining from. Let us know your someone say you should scatter your dada.
Yeah. You know how we do it.
So let us know where you're joining in from, so we know where our community members are coming from, right? So I'll leave you, and when you see my face again on the screen, that would be your your cue, right? All right. Thank you.
That's how we do it. Yes.
All right.
I think let me start this way. Thank you so much, Dr. V, for having me here. One thing I know for certain is that your name will be written on the plains of humanity, that you created something, that lives were transformed, that people were making commitments, that individuals and families, started transforming to be better adults. I feel honored to be one of the speakers for this year's Parent Africa Summit. I listened to last week's conversation, and like I was sharing with you backstage, I said, these are conversations for a time like this. And what I'll be sharing will just be a building on the conversation we've had, and then the conversation we'll be having from great speakers I learned from, great speakers I honor and revere in this space of parenting and then equally transforming families. The conversation today for me is personal. It's personal because as a community, we have a lot to do, except we want to live in denial that the quality of society we are raising isn't one that is healthy enough to accommodate the growth we seek in our children, the lifestyle our children are exhibiting. Are they lifestyle we will look at and say, oh, I'm so excited. My children are exhibiting into these forms of adults. So there's a whole lot we have to start doing. The conversation today is how do we raise emotionally intelligent or emotionally responsible children? Uh, Let me start the conversation this way. Um, it's hard. It's hard raising children who are emotionally responsible in this part of the world. I mean, it's hard for a few reasons, right? The first reason is that ours is a culture that normalizes shame. I mean, our culture normalizes shame. I mean, literally, we shame children for being children. I mean, we shame children for exhibiting age appropriate behaviors. But more importantly, we shame children for expressing age appropriate emotions. We cannot raise emotionally responsible children when we demonize their expressions of emotions. So, like, I mean, literally, if a child is crying in this part of the world, you can start hearing cry, cry, baby. Oh, I think the PSN is off. I might have to take off my mic so that someone will help me, bring it back on.
Please bear with us just a few minutes and he'll be back. All right, I see people joining in from Nigeria, from UK, Sheffield, from Kano, from Plateau, from US, Kentucky, River State, Accra, South Africa, Ogechi from Lagos, Toronto. Welcome, everybody. And I hope we've all caught up with last week. For those of us who missed any session from last week, I hope we've all caught up from last week. Um, yeah, so we've lost Coach Ade, and I'm hoping that he comes back very soon. Last week, I mentioned that we have some amazing gifts to give out, and I told us the criteria for winning the gifts, but unfortunately, I haven't really seen people. It's as if people want me to keep my gifts to myself, and I would gladly, gladly, gladly keep it if you guys don't want it, right? So one parent stands a chance to win 1 year scholarship into the 10 over 10 girls squad, a Bible and body safety club starting in September. It started in September 2023, but whenever you win it, that's when yours will start reading, right? So this is a club where your child will be engaged in Bible lessons, essential body safety workshops, and character development, right? One person or one parent stands a chance of winning this. Another parent stands a chance of winning a scholarship. Is a 3 months program into Tech Online Academy, which is a 3 months weekend online academy to equip your children with digital skills to promote productive use of their smart devices and position them for global relevance, right? So one parent stands the chance to win this for their children. They have courses like digital productivity, AI video story creation, ebook creation, comic storybook design. My child has been in this program for 2 months now. In fact, she's gonna get in class by 4 p.m. UK time, or she's in class now. It's 4 p.m. Nigerian time. So yeah, that is to say that my child has experienced it and it's really an interesting one. So one parent stands a chance to win this, right? Um, Another parent stands a chance to win a copy of this book, which is a book on raising financially, teaching your child the financial concepts of saving, earning, budgeting, and stuff like that. It is from our speaker Chinwendu Okocha, who spoke on how to raise money smart children. If you were in her session, you can tell that she's really good. So you should be able to get your hands on this book. Another two parents will win a copy of my book, which is a devotional for children. That's the Confident Kids devotional, right? Two parents to win that, and one parent to win this bundle. This is for those who are struggling with their little children, 1 to 6 years old. If you're having challenges with tantrums, you're wondering how to be able to stop shouting, stop beating, if you do beat, and things like that. A parent will win, this bundle. And how do you win? We said that you have to participate in the conferences, and you have to share what you're learning. You have to share a summary, essentially a summary of each session, and use the hashtag Parent Summit Africa 2023 and tag me, and then we select from 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 whatever entries that we receive, and we'll select our winners, right? So that is that. I'm encouraging you to kind of like participate, because last week people didn't really participate. And if you don't participate, then I'm gonna keep my gift to myself. Guys, all right, Coach Ade is back. Thank you. Thank goodness. You're about to give me a panic attack.
So sorry about that. I don't know.
No,
When the light went off, my network just went off,
no,
so I had to quickly
yeah. I got
rush and switch my network. Sorry about that.
no worries at all. All right, so I'll just leave you. I was just doing some updates.
Okay, thank you. So once again, we are sorry for the oversight. So I was sharing that in this part of the world, our culture, we normalize shaming children for expressing age-appropriate behaviors. We shame children for just expressing age-appropriate emotions. If a child is crying, um, we 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 tell the child, cry, cry, baby, right? If a child is crying, they tell the child, why are you crying like a girl, right? If a child is angry, we demonize the child for expressing. I mean, these are age-appropriate emotions. If a child is dysregulated, we we abandon the child, we yell on the child. I mean, there are times where parents even beat their children for crying. I mean, literally crying, expressing age-appropriate emotions can attract, being beaten. Now, this is what the African child most times goes through in this part of the world. So it's difficult because we normalize shaming. I mean, it's normal. We don't even frown at it. Secondly, as parents in this part of the world, we raise our children through the lenses of our inadequacies. We raise our children through the lenses of our inadequacies. We raise our children to fit into our mold. For us, that's how we raise our children. We raise our children not to be who they are created to be, rather who we were not. So let me explain this. If a parent do not like football, there is a likelihood that the parent might not even allow the children play football, likely because they don't like it. If a parent don't like skiing, it's more likely the children will not do that. If parents don't like swimming, it's more likely the children will not even experience swimming. Why? Because the parents don't like it. So for children, a lot of times in this part of the world, parents raise them just to fit into their mold of awareness. For children to grow up to be emotionally responsible, intelligent, children need to explore their authenticity, of course, through present guidance. Before this conversation, I took our children for swimming. So they got a new coach. And boy, oh boy. I mean, literally, this coach will pick them, throw them into the water, and then just leave them. And then, so for him, he said the first skill they have to learn is the skill of survival. So, how do you survive if you're just thrown into the water? So, he was teaching them how to tread. And then I was like, guy, take it easy, right? Of course, if it were me, I wouldn't teach them that way. But because he has a better idea on how to teach them swimming, and then that was his own way. Now, for a lot of parents, if they feel that is an extreme sport, they won't allow the children do that. So there are emotional expressions children don't feel expressing is necessary. Why? Because their parents either demonize it, their parents don't express it, or their parents frown at it. For children to grow up to be emotionally responsible, they must learn to explore their authenticity. I mean, they must learn to be themselves. They must learn to express age appropriate emotions and behaviors. Now, the third reason why it's difficult to raise children who are emotionally responsible or intelligent in this part of the world is that a lot of us parents don't have emotional regulation skills, right? I wouldn't want this to sound like a cliche, but you can only give what you have. You can only translate who you are. If you're struggling to regulate your emotions, it will be difficult for you to teach your child to learn how to regulate and explore their emotions. Now, let's bring this back home. A lot of us were raised in societies that didn't allow us truly form emotional regulation skills. A lot of us were coming from societies that shamed us, that demeaned us, that abused us emotionally, physically, verbally, and other ways. A lot of us struggle with empathy. A lot of us struggle with vulnerability. No, you will hardly raise children who are emotionally responsible and intelligent if you've not learned to regulate and then explore your own emotions. Now, the impact is that we express our emotions on impulse, right? So we yell at our children. I mean, we hit them. I mean, we express our emotions on impulse, but that's not that. We blame our children for how we express ourselves, right? Our children learn to take responsibilities for impulsive emotional responses. The implication is children grow up believing they are the problem. But beyond that, they grow up believing something is wrong with them. Something must be wrong with me for me to make mommy or daddy to be angry and then to be lashing out on me. Right? If something is not wrong with me, mommy will not lash on me, mommy will not call me names, mommy will not hit me. Now, as a child, because children don't have the whole picture, children tend to internalize how they are treated. Children tend to internalize the words we speak to them. Children tend to internalize what um the emotional vacuum we do not feel. And then they will believe, oh, the reason why mommy did not feel this vacuum is because something is wrong with me. If something is not wrong with me, mom or dad will not treat me this way. Right? So what it means that our children need to first start realizing that no, I can only take responsibility for how I feel when mommy or daddy have modeled taking responsibility. Except parents are taking responsibility, their children will not take responsibility. Children will grow up learning to blame other people for their responses, for their triggers, and then how they treat other people. What does it mean for us to raise children who are emotionally intelligent or emotionally responsible? It means raising children that have the awareness of their emotions, raising children who normalize being vulnerable to the extent of their emotional expressions. Importantly, raising children who understand the bits and pieces of their thoughts, because our behaviors mirrors the beat and piece of our thoughts. Children have to learn how to think right. Children need to start learning responsive thinking, not just being victim. Know that, I think, just like as I outlined, we as parents need to first model it to our children. As parents, we have to learn to accommodate how we feel. As parents, we have to learn to take responsibility for how we feel, and then, of course, what we express. That's the first thing we need to do. Can you embrace your emotions? Can you take responsibility for your emotions? Can you take responsibility for your thoughts? Secondly, can you help your child regulate? Regulation is dyadic. I mean, it takes someone to help you regulate. A child can only learn how to regulate when the parents have taught the child that, oh, this is how to regulate. And then how do you help a child regulate? First, you need to validate the emotions of the child. You need to validate the emotions of the child. Now, how a child feels might not even make sense to you. What is aching the child might not even make sense to you, but it means something to this child. And this child is expressing himself this way because the child do not have developed capacity for communication. The child do not know how to communicate how he or she feels. So usually children share how they feel in an unusual way. That's how they share how they feel, in an unusual way. So this morning when we wanted to go to the swimming pool, I picked some dresses for our kids. However, our daughter wanted the red color, not the blue color, because last week she wore the red color, and then my mom was like, okay, let's change the color now since she wore this color last week. And then that didn't go down well with her. So I said, okay, you guys should dress, while I was in the steam room waiting for them. And after a few minutes, I noticed our daughter was not out. So when I went in, I mean, she was literally crying. I was like, what happened? She said she does not want to wear the blue swimming trunk. And I was like, boy, you didn't say anything now. You will have told me that you wanted to wear this and then not just wear this, but you were here, you were crying. So what did I do? I said, okay, fine, it's okay. You don't want to wear this, it's okay. Yeah, let's pick it, let's arrange. And then, of course, we sat down there. I said, listen, I understand that there are times where you have your preferences, which is very okay. However, I can't know your preferences per time if you don't tell me. So you need to tell me. As parents, we need to learn to validate how our children feel. Our children feel the way they feel, not because they want to waste our time. So usually I hear parents say, children are manipulative. I mean, do you know what it means to be manipulative? Do you know the cognitive processions one needs to take to be manipulative? No, children are not manipulative. Children are just children, right? Listen, they don't know how to express how they feel. So they express themselves in unusual ways, right? Other times, so parents will tell me, this child is doing it intentionally. No, no child is doing it intentionally. No child just wakes up to say, oh, I want to frustrate my mom or dad. No, listen, a lot of times children are not even thinking about us. All they want to do is eat, play, do their thing and then sleep. I mean, we are the least on their priority list. I mean, every day when they wake up. So your child is not crying because he wants to annoy you. No, your child is crying because a child's cry is feedback. A child's cry is an unusual way a child is calling for your attention. A child cries because a child is going through peculiar emotional dysregulation. It means there's something that is happening at a thought level of the child that is making the child behave this way. So we must learn to validate how they feel. Listen, I see you, I hear you, I get you. And then let us go through these feelings together. When children feel validated, children grow up to be empathetic. Children grow up to be empathetic. And then third, we must learn to use moments of emotional dysregulation as a window of learning. Whatever frustrates you about your child is a feedback to what your child needs to develop capacity on. So it means that I need to teach my child how to express his or her emotions. I need to teach her how to talk to me when my decision or preferences for her or for him is not making sense. I mean, they need to trust me to tell me how they feel. They need to feel that, okay, the space around me, there is a safe space around me that they can trust me, right? um the environment around me needs to be accommodating, and then importantly, I need to make them feel they will always have my attention. Of course, every child wants to feel that he or she is seen, he or she is accepted, and then he or she is given the necessary perception of love. Every child needs to feel this, because at the end of the day, how children behave is a mirror of how they feel about themselves. The question as a parent, how do your children feel about themselves? How do they feel about themselves when they're out there? How do they see themselves? Do they see themselves as people who are deserving of the stage, or people whose place is in the shadows? What do your children feel and think about themselves? Right? And again, as parents, we need to allow our children explore their sense of authenticity and autonomy through present guidance. Through present guidance. A lot of times we tend to um, put our children in a box because we've not dealt with where we are coming from. Yeah, you know, some adults don't like cats, so they will make their children not like cats. If you don't like spider, unconsciously your child will not like spider. I'm not saying that you need to like everything. However, I mean, permit your children to like what you don't like. I mean, permit your children to experiment with what you've not experimented. And one of the ways you can do that is you need to deal with where you're coming from. I won't be fair to us if I don't share this part of the parenting experience. That a lot of us are coming from places of trauma, right? And because we've not paid attention to this trauma, unconsciously we're sabotaging our children. Unconsciously, we are projecting our fear to our children. Unconsciously, we are projecting our biases to our children. Unconsciously, we are making our children feel, oh, you cannot do it. Oh, you don't deserve these places. Unconsciously, our children are feeling, around mommy or daddy, you don't dare cry. I mean, unconsciously, our children are feeling, oh, cry is weakness. Oh, cry means something is wrong with you. No, children are not broken. Nothing is wrong with children. However, everything is wrong with the society. And because parents are raised in this troubled society, parents tend to exhibit troubled behaviors. Our trouble behaviors has nothing to do with children. Children are not broken. Children are not born with our trauma imprint. That I was raised with trauma imprint does not mean, our children are raised with trauma imprint. No. And it's not fair for us to look at our children through those lenses of our trauma. So what we need to do is we need to first sit down, take a few steps backward to understand, where are we coming from? What society are we coming from? How was I raised? How was I treated? Was I treated that way because I deserve it, or because my parents didn't know any better? Do I need to replicate how I was raised on my children, or I'm raising our children for a different time? Am I raising my children for a different time, or I'm raising my children for my past? Right? If I were raised in a time where, oh, you have to go to school, get a good job so that you can earn, unconsciously I'll be raising my children for my past, so that my past will not catch up with them. Hello, I'm not raising my children for my past. I'm not raising my children for my past. I'm raising my children for a future that is full of love, for a future that is accommodating, for a future that respects human sanctity, for a future that honors the place of a child. No, not treating a child like a tool, not treating like a child like a trophy, not treating a child like a mini me. No, but treating a child like a human being with peculiar path, peculiar thoughts, peculiar preferences, and then, of course, the autonomy to be who they desire to be. Except we pay attention to this, we might be depriving children of the ability to express themselves in an intelligent way. Then we're sabotaging ourselves and then our children in raising them to be emotionally responsible or emotionally intelligent. For us to raise children who are emotionally intelligent, for us to raise children who are emotionally responsible, our children need to feel how they feel is normal. How they feel is normal. It's normal to be scared of XYZ, right? No, not to minimize how they feel. Maybe a child is scared of cockroach. I say, it's just cockroach now. Please leave this place. Why just it's not cockroach? Why are you shouting? No, no, that is valid for the child. How the child feels is valid. How the child feels is valid. The child is throwing tantrum over something, hold it. How the child feels is valid. It might not make sense to you, but how the child feels is valid. When children learn that how they feel is valid, children grow up to be adults that normalize taking responsibility for how they feel. More importantly, children learn to be vulnerable. I learn to be vulnerable. Children learn that, oh, being vulnerable is not a weakness. Being vulnerable does not mean something is wrong with me. Oh, it just means that being vulnerable just means I'm a human going through peculiar experiences at this phase of my life. No child deserves to be raised suppressing his or her emotions. When we suppress our emotions, when our children suppress our emotions, our children become agents of depression. So I'm saying this so that it could sound, we can visualize it. When I suppress my emotions, when I suppress my emotions, it's very easy for me to have depression, depressed emotions, depressed emotions. Every emotions, every human emotions is meant to be expressed, not depressed, not suppressed, because the quality of one's life is tied to their relationship with their emotions. Ah, let me say it again. The quality of one's life is tied to their relationship with the emotions. If you don't have a healthy relationship with your emotions, it means that the quality of your life will be sabotaging. As a matter of fact, our immune system is tied to our emotions. So it means if you don't have a good relationship with the emotions, even your immune system will suffer, your physical health will suffer, your social health will suffer, your sexual life will suffer, just because you don't have the healthy relationship with your emotions. Emotions are meant to be expressed, not suppressed. Emotions are meant to be expressed, not depressed. So it means the quality of life our children have has to be to the degree we have permitted them to normalize express these emotions. If they are happy, they should express it. So, I hear parents say, "Oh, you play too much. Oh, why you laughing? What's funny? You're just laughing." No, 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 no. Every emotion is necessary for expression. If they are happy, they should express it. There's nothing like too much. That you feel something is too much does not mean something is too much for someone. As a matter of fact, what you feel is too much is a part of you that was deprived of expressing these too much emotions. Children don't play too much. Mm-mm. Children don't cry too much. Children don't, there's no too much. We all have different emotional timelines. We all have different forms of expressing how we feel. Instead of bringing people to the level of our emotional expression, Why don't we upgrade so that we can accommodate the purity of how they express their emotions? We can upgrade to the level of how they express their emotions. It means that we can upgrade to the point where when they are happy, we're genuinely happy for them. When they're not happy, we can be empathetic for how they feel. As I wrap up my thoughts, a few weeks ago, we're dressed for church. And of course, female children, once in a while, they want to use their mommy's makeup and all that. So, our daughter used her mommy's makeup, and then somehow I think she applied the makeup too much. So my wife saw it, and then my wife cleaned the part that was too much. And after a while, I went into the room, and then I saw her daughter crying. I was like, "What happened?" And he said, "Mommy cleaned my makeup." I said, "Mommy cleaned your makeup? What happened?" And that's why I went and I said, "Babe, what's up? Do you know my crying that you cleaned her makeup?" She said, "I didn't clean her makeup. That the makeup was too much, so I reduced it." I mean, literally, her daughter was on fire. I mean, she was crying. Why would mommy clean her makeup? We were almost getting late for church. I said, "Fine." I took her to the bedroom. We sat down. I was there quiet. She expressed herself. She cried. She cried. I mean, of course, we're already late. Everyone was waiting for us. Of course, she was just the person, making us wait. I sat down there with her, I think for like close to 20 minutes. I mean, she expressed herself. After expressing herself, she exhaled, and then she withdrew away from my body, and then she went out. Of course, at that moment when she left my body, I knew that she was ready for us to move. What did I do there? Listen, I made her feel how you're feeling now is valid. I sat down there, offered a safe space for her to express herself, regulated herself. Oh, by the way, we went to church that day late. However, I think our daughter is a primary citizen of our home. So how she feel come first, right? How she feels come first. Um, how she feels leaving the house for us is a priority than going to church early while she's feeling bad and then not expressing herself. What I'm trying to say here is no matter how discomforting it can be, how you feel when children express their emotions has nothing to do with our children, but has everything to do with us. If you are not allowed to express the emotions, you find it very hard sitting down to allow each other express their emotions. If you were shut down when you're expressing your emotion, there's that likelihood that unconsciously you want to shut down a child. Like I said, you can only give what you have. You can reparent yourself. You can give yourself the empathy you were not given. You can give yourself the attention you were not given. But more importantly, you can develop yourself to the point where your children feel important to us as a family and then to themselves. I mean, we can raise our children so they feel that at any point in time in their lives where they feel dysregulated, they can trust us to express how they feel. Now, let me say this. Oh, I'm happy I did not forget. How a child feels and expresses himself around you is a test of the safety you've created around that child. A lot of times, I hear parents tell me, "Oh, coach, my child cries too much. Am I not spoiling this child?" No, your child is crying too much around you because your child trusts you enough that if I cry, I know mom or dad will help me regulate. Right? Your child is crying too much around you because your child trusts you that around mommy or daddy, I can be myself. I can be authentic. I can express myself. However, if your child do not feel safe around you, your child will not cry. Don't raise children who look okay, but inside they are broken. Don't raise children who outwardly they are obedient, outwardly they are compliant, but inside they are traumatized. No, raise children that feel safe around us, raise children that trust you enough to express how they feel, raise children that don't feel around mom or dad I need to pad how I feel. Oh, I need to be careful on how I express myself. No, we should raise children that trust that around us they can express authenticity and autonomy of the full length of the emotional expression. Let me wrap up my thoughts here. Has It's almost time for me to take question and answers. Let me wrap up my thoughts here. If there's anything, if there's one thing I want us to pick from the conversation today, is that for us to raise children who are emotionally responsible or children who are emotionally intelligent, we should raise children that feel nothing is wrong with them when they express the full length of their emotions. We should raise children that feel how I express my emotions are genuine, they are valid, and then to me, they mean much. We should raise children modeling what it means to express themselves. Our children should find in us a safe space to express how they feel, but more importantly, knowing that we'll be there to guide them navigate this journey. How a child feels is the quality of life they have. So I'll stop here so that we can take question and answers. Once again, thank you so much, Coach and Dr. Vivian, for having me share in this season's
Thank
Parent
you.
Summit
Thank you.
Africa.
Thank you. Always, always, always deep thoughts and insights there. Thank you. This session, there are layers to conversations around emotions and emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah,
Um Someone said here, all thanks to Dr. Vivian, I'm completely healed. One, my dear sister, the healing is a continuous journey. Even me, we're all on this journey because
mm,
it's a true journey. That I was getting to that, like where I'm saying there are layers to this conversation because we're coming from generations of emotional abuse.
yeah,
Is layers upon layers. We're not taught to regulate. We were not provided, most of us, many of us, of course there are a few people who experienced a beautiful childhood, but for many of us, like Coach Ade said, because of the culture that we have found ourselves in or we were raised in, there's that norm of shaming, of you know
mm,
children being seen and not heard, children not allowed to express the full length of their emotions. So it's a transgenerational experience. And this conversation having, thankful for, people like us and these conversations and the platforms that we have. We're trying to break that cycle because
yeah,
that's why I speak a lot about conscious parenting, right? Conscious parenting is essentially for you to sit back and actually think and reflect. Because most times we are doing all of these things in autopilot and we're
yeah,
repeating the same things that we hated so much when it was done to us as children. But if we can actually sit and ask ourselves how we felt when these things were done to us as children and actually come in touch with how we felt, then it will be foolishness for us to repeat that on our children. Because I believe that
mm,
each and every one of us, we love our children and we want what is best for our children. But it just takes that reflection and that journey into, understanding your own emotional scars, emotional wounds, and where you're coming from,
yeah,
and empowering yourself to actually heal. Like Coach Ade said, give yourself, the grace that you didn't receive, give yourself the love that you didn't receive, the empathy that you didn't receive, reparent yourself, literally, like reparent yourself, and get in touch with your inner child, and comfort her and soothe her. And that's actually the
mm,
journey to start with if we really want to be that person with our children. Because the person who is lashing out on your child every time that they try to express their emotion is the child inside of you that was not taken care of. So
yeah,
if we can take the child inside of us, then we will be that safe space for our children. It's a deep level conversation, and I don't feel like we can do justice to it in this space and in this time. but we're open to more conversations. Coach Ade has a book on how to raise emotionally responsible children, and I feel like there'll be more around this topic on that book. So please follow him. He's more active on Facebook. I've been tagging him on Instagram. I don't think he has even seen any of that. So guys, just follow just follow him. Just follow him on Facebook, Shaz. If you want to see his posts, follow him on Facebook, reach out to him, get that book. And if you are in the WhatsApp group, like if you registered for the Parent Summit and you're in the WhatsApp group, obviously we're providing support, follow-up support after this whole summit to help us. Because like I said, it's not just about gathering information. We want you to implement what you have learned so that it can translate to transformation, like sustainable transformation for you. So if you haven't registered, peradventure you stumbled on this broadcast maybe somehow randomly and you haven't registered, do yourself the honors of registering and finding yourself in the group, because there is really more benefit with being in the group if you're not there yet, right? So checking if we have questions. Are there limits to the level of freedom a child is given to express themselves, or they are widely free to express anyhow they choose? Because I believe that is too much. I believe that too much of everything is bad. So, Coach Ade.
Okay, so I like this question. A lot of times, parents like asking hypothetical questions, right? So when they say, is there a level of freedom? Even children know that they can't even express the level of their freedom, right? The society is designed in such a way that no child can play from morning till night. Already, your house has structure. You wake up in the morning, you do some work, you go to school, you come. So no child have that freedom, right? What we're trying to say here is part-time, how a child expresses how he feels is genuine, right? Part-time, if a child is playing, that's how the child feels, right? So the question now is it every time the child should be allowed to express how he feels or how he plays? No, right? There are times where children need redirection, not stopping, not demonization. And then that's what we do, right? We make children feel it's wrong to play instead of letting children know, I really want you to play, but can you play after you've done XYZ? Oh, I can see that you really want to play. Can we play when we've done this? Or can you play for this time and then so that you can do XYZ? So the concern is that we can validate how our children feel, we can normalize how they feel, and then we can redirect their energy or make them feel there are appropriate times that you should express emotions or display, not to stop and then not to demonize, which is what a lot of us parents do. We just make children feel, oh, it's wrong for them to play, or it's wrong for them to cry, or it's wrong for them to express some forms of age appropriate freedom. A child will be a child.
Children will be children. So do we have more questions? Do we have more questions? Now is your opportunity to ask questions. So it's actually expensive to access Coach Ade Jones. So I brought him here. So drop your questions now. Drop your questions if you have any more questions. I'll just give it a few seconds. If we don't have any question, then we'll call it a wrap. And guys, please don't go anywhere. We have the next session. Please send this broadcast to your people, to your community, to your family WhatsApp group. Send it there, get them in, let them listen to all of these things we are sharing. Our next session is starting right away, immediately after this one, and we're talking about how to raise children who are lifelong learners. So like I told you when we started, everything feeds into the other, right? So if you're going to raise curious children who are lifelong learners, then you also have to be that parent who is able to accommodate your children and allow them to express themselves. So I'm looking at how interesting that would be. So don't go anywhere. It's going to be an interesting conversation by Dr. Chinekwu Ore. She's very good. So as we're ending this, we're jumping right into that one. Make sure you don't come alone, invite someone. And before we, okay, someone said, how can a depressed parent redirect him or herself so as to help a child?
Well, I think it's straightforward. A depressed parent needs intervention, so get help.
Mhm.
Right? There are mental health practitioners around. I mean, get help. You can only help your child when you help yourself. I think it's this simple, right?
Yeah. And we
There are
and
there
we
are
should
there are therapists around.
Yeah, and we should normalize getting help, and
Yeah,
we should normalize getting professional help. So I like to tell people that talking about your problem isn't actually help. It can alleviate your pain, but there are clinical skills to actually helping you move from where you are to a point of, healing, and a point of healthy mental health, right? So most times people speak to their friend, which is okay, like if that is the level you are at. But if you find out that it's a recurrent thing, then look into getting professional help to get yourself out of that situation once and for all, right?
yeah.
So
Let's
someone
let's norm-
says,
let's normalize.
yeah,
I want
please
to
go
say
ahead.
let's normalize seeking help.
Yes.
Let's normalize
Yeah.
seeking help. I mean, it's just like having headache. There's nothing wrong with having headache. It's not your fault. Same
Mhm.
with trauma related issues. This is not your fault. It's just your body trying to defend you. However, it can be sabotaging if you don't get intentional with it. Let me share a brief personal experience.
Yeah.
Right, last year our house was boggled in the night. I mean, we're inside. Thieves came in, boggled, picked things, and all that. After that experience, I mean, um, I started being hyper aroused. I mean, any moment from 10, 11 p.m., I mean, I hardly sleep. I started struggling with sleeping, and I had to, get help from a psychiatrist, who helped me and then guided me through that phase. So, listen, it's your body just trying to protect you, and then it can be sabotaging. Get help if you're struggling with any emotional or mental health concern. Get help. Help is available. There are psychologists, there are psychiatrists, there are mental health practitioners around, therapists. Please get help. Don't just stop at, oh, just when you talk about it, it might not make you feel better, but your body will never forget those experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So someone says, we just have a few minutes. Someone says, can you please discuss more on children not being manipulative? We'll take that,
Okay.
and then we'll take the last question.
So let me say that briefly. If for you to be manipulative, you need to think. It takes thinking, and children don't have that capacity yet. Children have underdeveloped prefrontal cortex, right? Children just behave because they know that over time they've learned that when they behave a certain way, they will get certain response. They're not being manipulative. They don't have the capacity to be manipulative yet. Then the other question say, how do one raise an extra kinesthetic child that plays a lot? Now, no child plays a lot. Your child is just different. So yes, the question should be, how should I raise a twice gifted child, a child that is gifted, that has kinetic propensities? Good. Three things to do. First, design your house to be child centric. Design your house to accommodate this child. Three, develop emotional skills so that you can permit the child to be what the child is. The problem is we have an idea of who that child is. This child is different from you. And then the third thing you need to do is guide the child through. There are activities, there are programs, there are systems you can put in place that will channel this child's energy, this child's passion, this child's to a more product complaint that, oh, my child is.
Thank you. So I'll take this last one, and this is the final one. I think it will answer the rest of the questions, right? So this person says, does co-regulation mean we are going to be late to going everywhere if how they feel is more important than being early.
Okay, so let me say this. Listen, we all have different priorities as individual and then as a family. In our house, how our children feel is a priority. That we miss church does not mean I like the fact that we miss church, and I'm not saying that other people should miss church. The message I'm trying to pass there is at that moment, right? How she felt meant a lot to me, and then I can't afford to allow her feel that way going to church, right? There are times where I could talk her through. There are times where we can walk around, talk about. I mean, there are different approaches one can take, right? If how your child feels is not a priority for you, like, no, it's okay. For me, it's a priority, and then for me, listen, family above everything. My children are worth the wait.
Yeah.
This is me. I hope it's same for you too.
Yeah. That's go right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, Coach Ade. If you enjoyed this session, please
Thank you so much for having
him
me
for
here.
coming. Thank him for sharing his knowledge with us. Thank you for sharing his experiences and his stories with us. Please say thank you. We want to see your thank you in the chat. Guys, if you had questions here and we did not answer them, please bring them to the group. We would create an avenue where we'll answer all of these questions. Like I told you, there's an after support that we'll provide for everyone who registered. So please bring your questions to the group if you have them. Write them down, keep them. I'll answer all of them. Don't worry. If the question is more than me, I'll bring people who answer. I'll bring people who answer the question. So everybody is saying thank you so much. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Coach Ade. Thank you. Guys, we're jumping into the next session. We're 2 minutes late, so we're jumping into that. But before I go, I will say thank you to our sponsors, Safe Hands School. Safe Hands School is a primary school in Abuja run by the House on the Rock Church, and it is a very amazing school. And I say this not because they are the sponsors of Parent Summit Africa 2023, but because they're actually a very great school, and their values align with some of the things that we're teaching at Parent Summit Africa. Don't take my word for it. If you're looking for a school in Abuja, please go right ahead, make all your inquiries, check their policies out, and you'll be happy that you did that, right? So thank you guys for joining, and let's jump right in. If you register, then you definitely have your access link for the next session. Let's jump right in to that session, and I'll see you guys. I'm not going anywhere. Let's
go.
roll over. All right, thank you. Bye, Coach Ade. Bye.
Bye-bye.